Yeah. All right. So this is our one of our first lives here on Remarried Love. And, today most remarriages go because of communication or because of incompatibility. There's a deeper issues that most couples can miss. They are breaking it down.
So, welcome to Remarried Love, the relationship podcast for men and women who want to build a remarriage with clarity and purpose. Whether you're rebuilding after divorce or strengthening the marriage you're in now, each episode is designed to help you grow trust, improve communication, and build a legacy remarriage.
So we're your hosts, Dee and Aki, and in this episode, we're going to discuss why some remarriages struggle. And if you're remarried or considering remarriage, this conversation matters.
Before we introduce our guests, if you're joining us live on YouTube, drop in the chat. What do you think the biggest struggle in remarriage is? And let us know where you're from.
So we are joined by licensed therapist and relationship coach duo Kiana and Andrew of Soul Journey Therapy and Coaching Services. Before we dive in, we'd love for our audience to understand your perspective that you specifically bring to this conversation.
Hi, yes. So thank you so much for the introduction and for having us on your show. It's definitely an honor. Yes, I'm Kiana. I've been a therapist for over 12 years, and I have a passion for helping people find emotional clarity and make progress on the goals to be able to thrive in life.
And I'm Andrew, and I am the relationship and communications coach of this duo. And similar to Kiana, my passion is really about helping people find that clarity, find direction, both in their personal lives and in their relationships, setting those goals and ultimately achieving them.
Yes, we work with people individually. I work with high achieving women seeking fulfillment, and Andrew also works with coaching clients. But then for couples therapy, we offer couples therapy as a team. So that's a unique niche that we have.
Well, that's great. I mean, that is going to bring a perspective to this conversation that is needed. And so we'll jump right in with our questions. And so, our first question, in your professional opinion, what do you think is one of the most overlooked issues for remarried couples working to have a better relationship?
Yeah, I think it's helpful to kind of define remarriage a little bit too. You all touched on it as well, but I think sometimes people only think about remarriage in cases of divorce. But it can
Mhm.
also be if you lost your partner, terminal illness, sudden accident, different things like that. So there's a lot of different reasons that someone may be getting remarried that are outside of divorce that also bring their own emotional challenges too.
Mm,
So when we think about grief, it may be the grief of a loss of someone, but it could also be the grief of what you imagined your life to be
mm,
compared to how it is now. And if we don't address some of those underlying pieces, that can come up in the relationship as well.
mhm.
Yeah. And I'll add to that in the cases of remarriage from divorce or previous relationships,
Mhm.
I would say not only is it the emotional patterns that can carry over, but it's the concepts that we have of marriage or of the roles of the male or female in the relationship.
Mhm.
If that isn't revisited, and updated, then it could cause additional issues in your new marriage.
Right.
For an example, we live in a very different world today than maybe our parents or grandparents lived in. Women have so much more freedom and autonomy. They have careers, they're highly educated. So the societal norms have to shift, the marital norms have to shift to accommodate for the reality that we live in today. So something like who's the breadwinner, so to speak, may not look like it did years ago, right? She might make more money. And so for the fellas, I'm talking to the fellas out there, if that's something that bothers you, you really have to do some soul searching to understand where is that insecurity coming from? Why does it matter who has the higher number on their paycheck? Um, if you're operating as a partnership, then it all goes into one pot anyway, right? So how do we support the family? How do we support the household in other ways to make up for any financial shortfall that might exist? So it's these types of concepts and ideas that we have to be willing to review and challenge and ask those hard questions for ourselves and to our potential partners.
Yeah, that sounds good because that's one of the things we had to do when we were preparing for remarriage is just finding out what our new roles were going to be. And that can be challenging for some couples depending on the dynamics they had in their previous marriage, and then also how long they may have been single, and taking care of themselves or their family, and now they're going into a remarriage.
Right.
Did you feel like it was, hard for you to go from a previously married person, single, to remarried?
I think each stage has its own challenges and rewards. So for me, I I wouldn't say it was challenging. I would say that it was different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
But we had a lot of discussions about it. I mean, we did take the time to kind of talk about who was going to be at home, who was going to work, how did we want our life to look in the future? Do we want to have more kids? Do we want to do this or that? It takes a lot of mature conversation
It
when
does.
you're preparing for remarriage. And I want to say
Mhm.
hi to real quick to Marriage and Motherhood in the chat. And so if you're just joining us live, we are talking about why marriages struggle. And so drop the chat where you're from. Okay, so we'll go on to our next question. And do you want to go with that one?
yes. So the next question is, you both integrate wealth education into relationship work. How do financial stress and unspoken money dynamics show up emotionally within remarriage?
You want to do that?
Sure. So we definitely incorporate wealth education. We say wealth education, but it's really about your personal household finances holistically, how you manage them and how you approach them as a team, as a partnership. So that's really the first step is understanding and coming to terms with, do you view your finances as a partnership,
Right.
or are you still operating as two individuals, more like roommates?
Mhm.
Right? And those two different approaches to your household finances are going to produce very different results. So that's one thing you have to we work with our clients around is understanding that dynamic. Beyond that, I think before you choose to get married, it's important to have some open conversations about your current financial situation, right? What is your income? How much debt are you bringing to the relationship?
Right.
Do you have prior financial obligations like alimony or child support? Things of this nature, right? You're going to want to go into the relationship eyes wide open so you can make the proper adjustments or put in place the proper strategy to align your finances when you finally do get married. I think oftentimes people wait until they're already married to start having those conversations, or it just goes unaddressed overall. And then, of course, these unspoken expectations creep in. So it's really about being clear upfront, putting it on the table, being adults about it, right? Having the conversation, doing the math, so we understand exactly where we stand as we enter into this new relationship.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. It
that's
was very well said. I would just add to just to kind of summarize that money issues stem from communication issues,
mhm,
right? If we're not communicating about these things, that's where, oh, how did that bill pop up? Oh, you were supposed to take that one. I thought that was yours. And wait, you have this amount of debt. You
mhm,
have child support that's about to be taken from your check. And, like
mhm,
all of these things that people just don't have enough conversations up front because it's uncomfortable. But it's more uncomfortable if you discover these things later and now it's impacting your entire household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny that you said um, putting things on the table because when we first started dating, that's exactly what I did. I put all my cards on the table and I said to my wife, I'm putting everything down, because I don't have time to play games. I don't want anybody else. I'm not going anywhere
Yeah.
else. So, here I am,
Yeah. I thought it was really brave that, he did that because a lot of people deal with shame, after divorce, especially with their money. And then sometimes they're struggling because they were used to living off of two incomes and now they're only living on one and debt has accumulated. And so you come now to the table with things that you're kind of like, I'm embarrassed,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm behind. And
Right.
we try to encourage people that it's not anything to be ashamed of, where your finances are. The best thing, like you guys were saying, to be a team about it. Like, let's see what we can do and together. And when we looked at all of our finances from, both sides, we found ways where we could save money. We found, ways we could rearrange the finances when things were taken out. And you really feel like someone's on your side, that you're not attacking it by yourself.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's good that you all are kind of encouraging that from that side because we also try to encourage it from an emotional side that there doesn't have to be shame, when you're
Right.
dealing with your finances.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
Andrew, your work emphasizes communication and accountability structures. What particular frameworks help couples shift from reactive conflict patterns to intentional partnership?
Mm. Yeah, so that's a big issue for all couples, I would say, is how we deal effectively with conflict. Um, and if we don't do that well, it builds over time. It's like we're just putting items on the shelf, right? Things
Mhm.
don't fully get resolved, and eventually the shelf is just too full, right? And it spills over.
Yeah.
So, one key piece in the word that you said was reactive, right? We don't want to be reactive,
Mhm.
right? We want to respond. In order for us to respond appropriately, we have to be listening actively, right? We have to be engaging in what our partner is sharing with us. That may require us to ask more questions than making statements, especially as we're trying to gain understanding, which is critical. We can't resolve a conflict if we don't understand what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Very true.
Right. Right. So, and just because we're two individuals, we view the world through different sets of eyes. We can be looking at the same thing, but taking away a very different meaning.
Exactly. Mhm.
So this is where establishing understanding first before trying to defend or explain is really important. If you jump right to explaining, it comes off as defensiveness.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that leads to an argument. You only defend if you feel like you're being attacked.
Right.
So therefore, that's where this concept of we're having an argument.
And competition too. Now we're in competition. We're
Right.
no longer
Mhm.
partners. We're competing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's really more about taking a beat, make sure I'm listening to what they're saying. If I'm not clear, asking a question,
Mhm.
help me understand. I'm not tracking with you. How did you come to that conclusion? Can
Mhm.
you say more about why you feel that way? What did I do specifically that made you feel that way? Or what did I say?
Right.
Right? Get clear on where they're coming from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then you take personal accountability where necessary. Oh, I see. You know what? That's on me. That wasn't my intention. I should have been more clear when I said this, or when I sent you that text, I should have been more clear on what my intentions were. Right? then you can kind of explain your thought process and where you're coming from after we've listened, gained a deeper understanding, taken accountability, then the door will be open to hear your reasons or your explanation.
So how do you teach people how to listen actively?
Yeah, we call them out.
That's the best way, right?
A lot of people don't realize that they're not doing it, right? It starts with that awareness. Someone will say, one partner is sharing, and then the other may start responding in completely left field. And we will pause them and say, hold on, what did you hear that they said? Right. And that helps us understand, okay, where are we at? Are we reacting from a place of feeling what I feel like you were saying? Or did we actually hear the words that your partner was sharing? Right. So we check for that understanding and call it out when we notice that something is being misinterpreted. So we really use the therapy sessions as a way to model this communication. So we slow them down. And we can even tell, you can tell when someone's not listening and they're just waiting to get their word in. You can tell, right? So setting the groundwork first. Let's actively listen. Let's give the person eye contact. Let's put the phone down, right? Let's give them our full attention. Yeah. So you can actually be hearing what they're saying and not just whatever you're feeling.
And I heard what you're saying. And so one of the things that I'm working on is slowing down so that I can be that type of person who actually hears, because I know that in my life I have been waiting for them to finish so that I can say something else. And it's not that I want to cut people off, but that happens when you are wanting to say something right after that.
I also feel that sometimes when you have been hurt before, or maybe you have felt unheard, that it can make you want to jump or, quicker to defend yourself or to defend your feelings or, things like that. Do you see that often? That trauma or past hurt affects the way people are communicating their feelings.
Yeah, you want to talk about symbolic versus situational?
I think you can cover that.
You want me to do that? Okay.
You cover that one better.
Okay. So we educate our clients on the difference between a situational argument and a symbolic argument. The situational argument is that you forgot the item that I asked you to get at the store. We're talking about the particular thing that you forgot. Yep. The symbolic is you don't care about my needs. I'm never a priority. I don't matter. Right? We see the difference. And many times we end up having two different conversations where one is like, I'm sorry, I forgot the avocado. And the other is like, no, you don't care about me. And they're like, wait, I thought we were talking about the avocado.
Right.
Right. And we know that, right? We've seen it. And that's because we've slipped into the symbolic side where, like you said, there's something that's triggered from our past, either with our partner or with a former partner.
Yep.
Or other dynamics.
Childhood,
yep. Right? Parents, anything like that, where that gets triggered. And many times we don't even realize that it's been triggered or that we're even having a different conversation.
Right.
So that's what we really help teach our clients and again, model in the sessions to help them realize, okay, wait a minute, I think we're not talking about the same thing here.
Right.
I think we need to, let's fix the initial thing. Okay, did you make a list to go to the store? Okay, that's solved. Now, on this other side, what makes you feel like they don't care about your needs, that what you want isn't important? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
Right. So we kind of break that down, and that's been really helpful with communication.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of issues in any marriage, whether it's a remarriage, can be helped through proper communication. I don't know if it's proper, but open communication.
We say effective. We say effective communication.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Because that's really where it stems from. If the other person doesn't know what you need, it's hard, yeah, to, like, meet that. I
Yeah,
wanted to
communication.
ask
Oh,
you,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
have you seen in your practice that remarried couples may have more, um, more issues with the communication and things meaning something else? I think you were calling it, like, the symbolic type of communication. Do you see that more often, or is that just really in all marriages?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a distinct difference between remarried couples and married couples. If they're at the point of working with us, then clearly there is a communication breakdown somewhere.
Mhm,
And identifying what the trauma may be, or the anchor that's holding them in that place of conflict. It's going to be different for every couple. We have
right,
some couples that we work with who have been remarried, and it's not necessarily stemming from their previous relationship. And for others, there are patterns that are arising in this new
mhm,
relationship that reminded them of their previous marriage. So I don't know
right,
if there's a distinct difference there, but I think just human relationships in general can be challenging if we're not communicating effectively.
yeah,
And the problem, I think, is, well, it's not the problem, but a part of the challenge is communication is a skill, just like any other skill. Working on your car, remodeling a bathroom, being able to write beautiful music, or an amazing essay. These are skills that you develop over time.
mhm,
But when it comes to communication in a relationship, we see it as an attribute. We put it on the list of, long hair, and, she fine and all this kind of stuff, right? We put it on that same list when it's really a skill set that has to be learned and developed through
mhm,
practice.
yeah,
And unfortunately, we never learn at any time in our lives how to effectively communicate.
right,
We pick it up just through observation, through our, how we were raised, through the society that we live in, the culture that we're in. That's how we figure out how to communicate, but it's not always the most effective path. So, and we just kind of repeat or replicate what we see.
mhm,
So if we grew up in a household where there was a lot of arguing and yelling and, aggressive talk, that's probably how you will engage in arguments yourself when you
mhm,
become an adult. That's just what you saw, so that's what you do. But effective communication is something that has to be learned. And unfortunately, we just haven't been taught how. You know,
mhm,
Right.
this is why things like premarital counseling is super important, or therapy before you get married or what have you, can be really helpful, because it will help you start to develop some of these skills, some of these conflict resolution skills, how to align, two different ideas and create a win-win scenario. Again, it takes a lot of time to develop that. And, we're still learning. We've been married 13 years. We've been together 15 years. This is our first marriage and our only marriage, but it's still something we have to work on every day. Even though we work with couples every day, it's
Yeah.
still something we have to be mindful of. We have to remind ourselves to practice what we preach. Um, Otherwise, we're just kind of faking it. So it's
yeah,
something that we have to really focus on and put into practice, and take that extra second to
So
breathe.
what you're saying is that you're real people.
Yes. Oh,
We
absolutely.
are, believe it or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's no perfect marriage.
Mhm.
No marriage is perfect, right? And we're all at different stages of growth and maturity,
Right.
personally and collectively. What we have observed from, we were fortunate before we got married, we had access to couples who had been married 30, 40, and 50 years. And we were able to ask them questions and really dive deep about what keeps them together. What have they seen works and doesn't work in the
Yeah.
relationship? And we really stored away those golden nuggets,
yeah,
and try to apply them in our own relationship. And we share a lot of that with our couples in our sessions.
But when we got together, we wanted therapy and counseling, everything to help us because we both came from families that had been divorced. And I think our pattern of dealing with marriages or dealing with conflict were shaping the way we thought we were supposed to deal with our marriage. And we knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Is that how you felt?
Yes. I mean, it wasn't adding up because nobody was really staying with each other. We're having new people coming to the new family,
Yeah, and
and blended family as well.
right.
It wasn't just couples, but it's also with children.
And I think what you said about alignment is so important because in a remarriage, especially with blended families, you can feel like these loyalty lines and who do I agree with? How do I agree with everyone in the family that is coming together and still go forward and grow in the relationship? I mean, that's a serious challenge in itself. And so for us, counseling helped us to foresee some of the issues that we may have and kinda helped us give, have a game plan for ourselves, like, just having someone to coach you through is invaluable.
I kind of feel like if you've never heard of any of this before, then you don't know where to go. And you definitely don't
Right.
know how to receive this help because help is available.
Mhm.
And understanding, and we call them tools. I know you guys have clinical words for these things. We call them tools. If you don't have the right tools, as you mentioned about cars and fixing things, so if you don't have those tools to be able to help your relationship, you're gonna have a broken car, which is a broken marriage.
Yeah. Or you won't feel like you're thriving in the marriage,
Yeah.
I know
Right.
I'm sure you've worked with couples that they love each other, but they don't feel, that they're growing. What would you say to couples like that, a remarried couple that they know that they love each other, but they just like, why aren't we aligning?
Yeah, so one thing that comes to mind is that we need to ask better questions when we connect
Mm.
because we get into the, oh, how was your day? Fine. How was yours? Good. And that's it.
Yeah,
Right. And then we say, well, you didn't want to talk to me. You didn't want to open up. You didn't want to tell me things. And it's like, well, we need to shake it up a little bit, right? Ask some better questions to get at what inspired you today? What made your heart skip a beat? What was something surprising that happened to you today? Just helping us get out of that rut that we can get
mm,
into, the mundane of the routine. And also just making times for micro connections. Do we tell each other that I love you? Right? You may know, but do you really know if you don't hear it?
right.
Right? Or if it's not expressed, how do we show that love? So just being a lot more intentional, and not just going through the motions is important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
I think that word that you use, intentionality is critical. Whether it's your first marriage or you're remarried or what have you, having intentional conversations with your
Mhm.
partner and going beneath the surface in the content that you share. It's a part of your intimacy practice. It's not just the physical aspect of intimacy, but it's that intellectual connection, it's
Mhm.
that spiritual connection. It's talking about your goals, talking about your aspirations, talking about your failures,
Yeah,
your areas of opportunity, your strengths, and really just kind of like diving deep. This is how you build a lasting partnership. You have more things to fall back on. If one aspect isn't where it needs to be, you have all these other components that you can
Mhm.
lean into when times get difficult.
Mhm.
You should be friends with your partner. You don't necessarily have to be besties,
mhm,
but you should be friends. You
Yeah.
should be able to laugh
We
with
should be
each other
friends.
and enjoy, new experiences together. And you know what I'm saying? In a more
yeah,
relaxed kind of way
Right.
that you would with a close friend. Because you can lean into that when other things may not be
Mhm.
ideal.
right. And I think
Mhm.
that's good that we're talking about intentionality, because when you're married and you're a parent, if you're a spouse, you're on your job, you're this, you can let the marriage get away from you sometimes. I mean, we have to stop and say, okay, we have got to go out on a date, or we have to get out of this atmosphere, um, so that we can reconnect without having all these other issues,
or a third party.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's,
Mhm.
No, I was gonna say we need to have more fun in our
yeah,
marriages. It can be so serious all the time,
Yeah.
it
and it's
is.
like that's where the friendship kind of lightens the mood a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Where everything is not so serious, and everything is not so,
Heavy.
heavy. I make the wrong joke, and it's like, oh, now I got 3 days of trying to recover.
Right.
Um, it's like it was a joke, okay, it wasn't funny, and then we move on, kind of thing. Um, like you would with a close friend, right? You just
Right.
kind of laugh it off. You don't take it so personal.
Yeah.
And I think in relationships, sometimes we can just be so anxious or just so wound up a little bit that we just take everything so personal.
Yeah.
And so sometimes just that friendship or just different aspects can lower the temperature a little bit, bring a little bit more ease
Mhm.
into the environment.
Yeah, playing board games, or, like, when last time you've done something fun,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And if you have to really think about it, then make
You
make
you
a
need to,
point to do so.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about enjoying yourself, enjoying your spouse. We like comedy. We like comedy shows, and we just like laughing together. And I think sometimes, like, especially with remarried couples, you're so stressed, like, in the fact that you don't wanna make a mistake again, or you don't want to mess something up. You don't wanna hurt the person, and it can make you kinda tight or not as easygoing, and
Yeah.
being intentional can help you with that. If you have someone helping you to plan out dates, or, um, just take this day off, or, like you said, lower the temperature, that can help a lot.
Yeah.
So, I had another question. Did you have one? I had, another question, and that is, many remarried couples enter new relationships carrying a lot of grief and trauma. We were talking about that from their past experience. And from your perspective, what emotional patterns are most often overlooked before couples get together for remarriage?
Yeah, so I would say there's a lot of conflict avoidance that happens within
Mhm.
relationships. There's a lot of those unspoken expectations where they should know, right? All of that, and that's a setup for disaster.
Mhm.
And then definitely the victim mentality as well, where we feel like everything is being done to us rather
Right.
than realizing that we're in control of our own emotions, our own reactions. No one can make you anything.
Mhm.
And, really being aware of what is your orientation to conflict, and really having an understanding of that, because that's going to shape how you interact with this partner.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think, for us, we had to address triggers that we didn't even know we had,
Mhm.
and we didn't know until they came up
Yeah.
that we had them. It was like, "Oh," but having, like, mentors helping us to say, "Yeah, that's normal, um, to have the trigger, but it's the way that you respond to it."
Yeah.
Yeah, did you feel like that was one of the emotional kind of, things we didn't realize when we got married?
I think that triggers are a big thing, and especially in remarriage, because like you just said, sometimes you don't even know you have them.
Mhm.
Something comes up that your ex said, but because you said it in a certain way, now it took me back to whatever year that was, 19 whatever it was, and it's like, "Whoa, who knew that they had something that deep?" Or as an
Right.
anchor, as you
Yeah,
said, you know, an anchor, trigger, or anything that's going to keep you stuck back where it was. um, that's of course not good for your marriage.
Yeah, yeah.
But those things happen in remarriages, and people need to be aware that triggers and anchors are things that can pop up in a new relationship.
I think yeah, and
Mhm.
I think you dealt with them much better than I did, um, because for me, I felt like it was when I was doing the work to heal from my, previous marriage, I I think I did feel a little of the victim mentality, and so it's hard to turn to yourself inward and say, "Okay, even though I felt that I was done wrong, I still need to work on my reaction to things," you know?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
I
Yep.
had to that was definitely something I needed to work on, and then not feeling bitter that I am the one working on myself when maybe I didn't feel like I was the one that caused the divorce, you know? There's
Mhm.
that feeling. So you're dealing with the trauma of ending a marriage, and then now you're trying to heal, and you're trying to not have bitterness. It was like a lot going on,
And not give it to someone else.
and then not
Right.
Right.
respond. The one thing that was interesting is that because he and I both had been married before, we kinda were patient with each other. Like, we're like, "Oh, you're getting really mad, not because of me. You're getting really mad because of what you went through." And it
Yeah.
was nice to have that type of grace, that we both had to give
Yeah.
each other, and I think that is something you have to do. It's, like, so much to kind of, what are you saying? Like, regulating yourself to make sure that you're not hurting your spouse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think another skill that's maybe underappreciated that's important for a marriage and especially a remarriage is that ability to reflect.
Mhm.
Mhm,
If you were intentional about your healing process, you did a lot of reflection, right? And when you go into a new marriage or if you're in a marriage, reflecting after a moment of conflict can
mhm,
be so helpful. Not just ruminating on how they did you wrong,
right,
but really trying to understand, okay, how could that have gone better? How could I have changed the outcome of that conversation? Right? You're looking for the opportunity for you to take personal accountability for the part that you played.
Mhm.
Even if you felt like you were victimized in the moment, there's still a part that we played.
mhm,
Mhm.
We allowed ourselves to be victimized.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we
mhm,
still have to forgive ourselves for that, take accountability for that. And then when we re engage to resolve the issue, we can come with that reflective accountability, you see? And if both parties are on the same page that this is how we are going to respond when we
mhm,
have conflict, that makes the resolution and the reconciliation so much smoother and more beneficial, right? Because that's where we grow. That's when we actually are growing
Mhm.
as individuals and as a couple is through times of conflict, through times of difficulty.
right.
But it's our ability to reflect and extract the lesson for ourselves
Mhm.
is where the growth really takes place. And so that's something that I would encourage everyone to really think about. How do I reflect? Is that through journaling? Is it just through deep thought? Is it through, maybe while I'm exercising, I start to kind of think about things, whatever it is for you as an individual,
Mhm.
bring that into your marriage and leverage that tool, after conflict, so that you can bring that to the table when it's time for resolution.
That's a really good point. I mean,
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about how do I reflect? You know, um, we do talk about it and we have, I think, great communication, but I think as individuals, we have to uh, take time to have that reflection for ourselves. Um, you know, I did do some journaling for myself and that helped, but that's really a deep um skill or just a tool, like you say, to have. like, I'm in this marriage and I know that we're gonna have conflicts. So how do I reflect on it so that I can heal and understand what was really happening? That's
Mhm.
good.
One of the things I did prior to even being married was introspective processes. So I would go and try to, not try to, but I did sit and reflect on some things, to
Yeah,
help
like
me.
quiet
Yeah,
time.
I had my quiet time. I went in
Yeah.
the corner, had my own quiet time,
Uh-huh.
and reflect on possibly some things that my ex said, whether they were good or bad, and whether I believe them or not. This person said that. So let me
Mhm.
see, what am I doing that brought that on? So that I could eliminate that prior to getting married again.
Yeah, that was some of
Yeah.
the things that you were working on before. You're a good reflector, you know? I probably need more things because, like, if you're going, and doing all these things, you do have to be intentional about, "Okay, stop," and you have to do, like, your own self-care, your own self-awareness so that you can be present in your marriage when it's time, and I think
Mhm.
some couples, that's a challenge, like, how do I slow down?
Yeah.
And
Right.
we're always advocates of, like, some type of coaching or mentoring to help you through it so you don't feel alone, or you don't feel like, I'm the only marriage that's going through this. So that's good. So as we talk about, like, some of these strategic steps and things that we can do, what can couples do right now who want to strengthen their relationship? What can they do to have sustainable growth?
Yeah, so number one that we always teach our clients is to acknowledge and validate your partner's feelings. Andrew explained it earlier, but really before we start giving our reasoning, justifying anything, acknowledging, like, thank you for sharing. I realize how that hurts you. And then taking that accountability, right? Because many times we may not intend to hurt, that's not our intention, but the impact is what it is. So
Mhm,
taking accountability for the impact, but starting with acknowledging and validating person's feelings, not you shouldn't feel that way, not dismissing it,
mhm,
acknowledging it first, and then taking that personal accountability.
Yeah. I think most of us, we operate under a fallacy. We think that a fact can nullify a feeling, and it does not. The feelings are there, regardless of the facts.
Right.
mhm,
One saying we use with our couples are we say feelings are not facts, but they are real and they need to be addressed.
mhm.
So
So
basically,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. So basically, you can win the battle, but not win the war when you're talking about feelings and facts.
Correct.
Well,
Correct.
even if you see it as a battle or a war, you're competing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Either
Yes.
way.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So the acknowledgement and the validation is not about agreement,
Right.
Mhm.
right? That's more on the facts side of things.
Okay,
True, false. It's not about that. It's about understanding, as Kiana said, the word impact.
okay.
My partner feels this way. It's
Mhm,
clear, right? Their body language, their tone, the words they are using are informing me that they feel something. They're hurt, they're disappointed, they're angry, whatever it may be. So before I try to resolve that, I need to acknowledge that they feel that way. This is what
mhm,
people mean when they say, I don't feel like I'm heard.
Mhm.
It's because no one's validating your feeling in that moment.
Right.
mhm,
And by validating it, I'm not saying I think you're right. I'm just
mhm.
simply saying that, hey, okay, I can see that something is bothering you,
Right.
right? So help me understand, how did we get there? What was it that triggered you?
Mhm.
So first, I'm going to start asking some questions before I just jump in trying to invalidate their feeling with my facts.
Mhm.
You see? So do that part first, acknowledge, validate, and then there's the accountability piece that Kiana mentioned to say, you know what, I see where you're coming from. That was not my intentions, but I understand that this is how it impacted you.
Mhm.
Once you do that, they're open to hearing kind of your
side.
Your side.
Sorry.
If you only focus on that,
Yeah. If you just did those pieces,
dynamic will shift drastically.
Just that validation of the other person's feelings.
yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Mm-hmm.
First, do that first. The order really matters.
Yeah.
Right, don't do it after you've had the conversation or the argument.
Right. Yeah. If you do it first, again, the rest of the conversation tends to smooth out
Yep.
a lot faster.
Yep.
Than if I lead with my defenses and my reasons and my explanations and all of that. That just creates the argument, the back and forth.
Right.
Now we're fighting over the microphone. You know what I mean?
That's why we have 2 mics.
I mean, that is so good. What I'm hearing you say is like the maturity and the accountability and then validating. Like we're struggling out here in remarriages. We don't even have to be because we can just kind of take accountability for our own actions and then we can be better at validating the other person's needs or what they're saying without feeling like we're agreeing with them. And I think that's an important difference. I can validate that you feel that way, even if I don't agree with you or I don't agree that that's how you should feel. You are feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
But you don't say to the person, "I don't agree with you, but I'm gonna validate you."
yeah, don't say
Right.
That's
that.
probably not gonna work out for you now.
I mean, this has been like a great conversation for us, and I know our audience. And you know, there's so many layers and things that go overlooked in marriages and remarriages that that counseling and having a coach definitely can help. So,
So
be
before we
oh, go ahead.
close, for those who resonated with tonight's conversation and want to a professional guidance to navigate through their remarriage, how can they connect with you guys
Yeah.
at Soul Journey Therapy and Coaching?
Yes, you can go directly on our website at souljourneyproject.com. And right there, you can learn about us. There's some videos on there, and you can book a consultation right there. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to, engage with you and be a support for you on your journey.
That's
Yes.
great. And we will place your information in the description so people can connect with you directly. But we will definitely be continuing this conversation deeper in other episodes. So you guys make sure you're subscribed and you turn on your notifications. And if you know someone that could benefit from this conversation, please share this video. So thank you.
Yeah, we want to thank you guys,
Yeah, thank you so
Kiana and
much.
Andrew, for bringing clinical insight and wisdom to this space.
Yes, this conversation is great, and I hope that we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. We welcome that. Thank you both. You clearly have done a lot of your inner work. So we really commend you for that
Thank
as well,
you.
being intentional stepping into this remarriage.
And being great
Yes.
role models.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we're Dee and Aki, and forward to building the next time with you on Remarried Love. Bye-bye.